The Gilder Era is pretty much just a reminder that if you just combine vigorous amounts of self-belief and action together, it's going to result in success.
The Gilder Era isn't just a brand, it's a movement reshaping what independent music can look like.
And if you're new here, we're Zach and Matt, hosts of the ZHZ Podcast, your home for artist interviews and the Utah scene and beyond.
Today, we're sitting down with Charlie Gilder, an alternative pop and indie artist turning resilience into a lifestyle.
His new release, Echoes After Midnight, is only part of the story. The real impact is how he helps artists zoom out, simplify their strategy, and play the game without burning out.
If you're an artist trying to find clarity or step into your next era, this episode is for you.
Let's get into it.
So, Charlie, I am curious, man. How did you hear about us?
Well, I'll be honest with you. One of your videos came up on my feed on Instagram, and I had been looking for a podcast to go on. It was perfect, especially because it was literally all about independent artists. So I knew you guys would have the audience for it too.
Yeah.
Right on, man. So where are you based?
I'm in Westchester, New York.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Our last interview was with the guy out of New York as well.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Righteous.
So,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So,
Well, I think that is just proof of how getting yourself out there in the day of social media connects people from opposite ends of the country. Here we are, a couple of chumps doing a music podcast in Salt Lake out of Utah, connecting with people in New York, connecting with people. We had a guy on the show that was in Finland. We've had California, we've had Texas, it's incredible, man. It's so
or
cool.
England.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. I honestly, I don't think enough artists really take advantage of it either. You could hold DM 50 producers or artists that you want to work with within 45 minutes at the palm of your hands. And if they don't respond, you lost nothing.
Right.
Exactly.
Crazy the opportunity we've gotten in the past 20
Yeah.
years. It's ridiculous.
Well, we did this. Matt and I are in a band called Z Frequency. That's like my little logo hat here.
Okay.
But we've been in bands since like 91 doing this
Oh my
thing.
gosh.
And we had like our ups and downs, and there was this real long hiatus or sabbatical. And we just started getting back into music just a couple years ago. And I was trying to figure out, I didn't know anybody at the time. Like at that point, I was out of the scene. I didn't know. So we had the idea of kind of just doing a podcast and trying to get connected with musicians, and it's kind of just blossomed. And I didn't think anyone would really be interested in, but it's been completely the opposite. And so I love it
Right
because
on.
we get to meet new people like you and people from across the pond, if you will. But let's start with your story.
Let's do it.
How did you get started?
With just music as a whole?
Yeah, like there's always a starting point, we call it the aha moment, like when you I think most people to some degree will dabble in music to some level, but there's a certain point with musicians that take it to that next level where they're like, okay, I got to keep doing this, like what was that like for you?
Well, it's funny because I've had music in my life, my entire life. Like I'm sure you've heard it before. When I was 6 years old, if we went to a family friend's house and they had a piano, I was on that grand piano. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if I didn't know what
Yep.
I was doing, you might scream at me from the other room. But when I was like 13, 14, I believe it was actually the summer of 2017, we had a family Mac. Remember like the Mac desktops?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I got a pirated version of Logic Pro. I was probably in like 7th grade going into 8th grade. And I would just sit there. All my friends were outside. I would sit there and I would play around with it. And it became such an escape for me. And I realized if I just keep, even at that age, being as young as 13 years old, I knew if I just kept getting at it, I was going to get better. And then around 14, I started taking it really seriously. I was a freshman in high school by now. And I just started releasing vigorously on SoundCloud. Of course,
Okay.
kids made fun of me, but
Yeah.
I wasn't letting it stop me. I knew I was just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's pretty typical.
Kids making
actually. So-
fun of me could be in the title of my autobiography, man. So like if you know, yeah.
You're like, whatever, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, haters gonna hate. You know what I mean? And most of the time, they're just jealous, really. You know
Right.
that you've got something to grab onto, where they haven't even figured out.
Of
What
course.
they want to do. So, but yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Gilder era. That
Let's
kind
do
of
it.
struck me. Yeah. So what is that to you, and describe what that means to somebody watching?
So for me, like I just said, I've always struggled with kind of people yapping at me and having plenty of people to prove wrong. And I feel like there are a lot of people that just need that reminder and they just simply want to be a part of something, especially right now. I feel like there's a huge loneliness epidemic and people just
Mm-hmm.
want to feel like they're a part of something. And the Gilder Era is a reminder to all of those people out there that are struggling with their confidence, or maybe they want to take a shot at being an entrepreneur or a musician like we are. Their parents are telling them to go down more of like a traditional path. And, they're kind of in this back and forth. And that's just a reminder. Around October of last year, something just snapped in me where I was like, I either give it my all now or I don't do it at all. I'm tired of just kind of dabbling and releasing whenever I want. So yeah, the Gilder Era is pretty much just a reminder that if you just combine vigorous amounts of self-belief and action together, it's going to result in success.
Cool. I
That's
like it. It's almost like
fantastic.
your exclamation point. It's like you're painting a picture of go for it,
Of
Like that's
course.
what I was thinking. Like just go for it. It's your version of go for it. And you're speaking words of encouragement,
Right.
So I
Well,
absolutely agree with that. That's
Well, and
good.
I think it's wild that in it, touching back on how connected the world is, that we're more connected than ever, but it can be so isolating at the same time.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
But I think the more, I think that what you're doing is fantastic, just because you never know whose life you are going to touch. You never know whose Instagram feed you're going to pop up on
Correct.
in a moment of crisis, in a moment
Yeah.
of need, and and to inspire people, And I think the world needs more of that. I think absolutely, bar none.
Matt, you hit the nail on the head too. I feel like social media is making people antisocial. You know what I mean? People aren't connecting. And like I said, people are not using it in the right way. They're spending more time scrolling than actually connecting with people. And at a certain point, you have to decide if you're using it the right way or if you just honestly delete it. I think it's so much better, unless you're doing like what we're doing, where we need social media.
But you have to have it,
Right.
That's in this day and age. But I agree with you. I think a lot of it's steered by the platforms themselves. Like they steer the narrative of how people act and behave on those platforms. And I can't agree with you more. Like I try so hard to develop a personal connection with our fans. That's why I'm really hitting the whole mailing list thing. Like I'm like, we gotta get a mailing list, because one day Instagram could be gone, or they could pull us off of Spotify or whatever. Like with a mailing list, as old as that is, as ancient tech as that is still the easiest and best way to have a one-on-one with your fans and those that care about what you're doing, So
Exactly. And
yeah.
also, it's a way of not just depending on these algorithms, because I think a lot of people forget these algorithms are not robots. Like there are real human beings behind
Yeah,
the
that's
algorithm. And a
right.
mailing list, I think, is such a perfect way of connecting with people one on one, not just talking to a camera. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, because anybody would, like, a lot of people
Right.
I mean, that's easy to do, but if a lot of people sometimes feel kind of intimidated, even try and reach out, or you get, you get a mixed bag of haters too, or people that just joke around and don't take any of it seriously. But you can be genuine, and people can reply. It's just as easy as an email reply. And so I'm a big fan of that. I realize that social media has its place. It has to be there. And depending on how old you are, like we're kind of the Facebook group. We have Instagram, and we have TikTok, and we have all those things. But like
My mom
most of our
you saying that.
Yeah, I
right,
mean,
right.
but we're the blood pressure medication compression socks generation now, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, we may not look it, but we're pretty boomer, you know. But
No, you
No.
guys seem pretty hip though.
X baby.
yeah. We're Generation X, so
I'll fight you.
yeah,
You call me a boomer, dude.
yeah.
Gen
Technically,
X,
we're not
baby.
I
we're
know.
not a boomer.
We are X through and through, man.
Yeah,
Don't
if
start
you-
swinging yet, man.
if you ask my daughter, she'll call us a boomer. But
Of course.
Yeah, you can ground her too. That's the beauty of it.
you know what? I
Really?
I played some of your music to her, and she almost immediately said she said he sounds like what I had to write it down because I'm not familiar, but Benson Boone. Does that sound
Really?
familiar?
Okay, yeah. You know who that is?
Yeah. I don't.
I do.
So,
I do.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. Yes.
Yeah.
You know what, Zach? You're not even in the wrong though, because he's fairly new. It's like past 2 years he's been popping off.
Oh, okay. But yeah, she's like, yeah, I like it. I like it. It sounds like Benson Boone. I'm like, I got to write this down. Hold on. You know,
I like that though. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. She loves music, man. That's her bag. And
He's great too.
yeah. So let's speak about, you got a new release and it's called Echoes After Midnight. When does that actually drop?
So the exact date is not completely confirmed yet.
Okay. So you haven't submitted it through distribution yet?
No, not yet. But I'll
Okay.
say it's mid-July.
Mid-July. Okay. So you
July.
got plenty of time then. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, because sometimes people artists will come on and they're like, yeah, it drops Friday. I'm like, cool. This isn't going to be done by then, you know? Like,
Of course.
you know, it's like, but yeah, that works. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Echo After Midnight. How is this different from some of the other releases you've done?
So I'm big on your singles sounding very, very different than your project songs. I feel that, especially when it comes to projects, whether it's an EP or an album, it needs to feel like it's within its own world. Like
Yeah, stands on its own.
absolutely. I want my audience, especially like the members of the Gilder Era, I want them to turn on any of these songs and immediately go, oh, that's Echoes After Midnight. It's going to have a very, very romantic feel to it. Kind of like it fits into like the cheesy 80s.
I was going to bring
pop-up.
that up. I was going to bring it up here coming up. I'll let you finish and then I have some things to say, but yeah, go ahead.
Zach has thoughts.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear 'em.
Who would have thought of that? Yeah. So anyway, so it's gonna stand on its own. It's like almost 80s. It's reminiscent of an 80s romance.
Very like he's rom-com cinematic, and I want you to be able to turn it on and just be able to go. I want you to be able to go on a late night drive and also be able to go drive in a sunset and listen to it too. And it makes sense and changes within your environment.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Now I'm excited, man. I did go through your catalog and a few things that popped off, and these are just like off the top of my head, so you can take it with whatever it is, or you
Please.
can throw it away. But was very relationship oriented. A lot of your songs are very relationship oriented, whether it was like a broken relationship or ending relationship,
Right.
and the choice of sound, sense, if you will, like it was almost, I wouldn't quite call it 8-bit, but it was very unique choice in sense where it's not your typical pop sounding choice of elements that you put into the track, which I thought was very interesting. So when you said 80s, I'm like, oh,
I
yeah,
like that. That's a great way of putting it. You know what? Because I feel like with synths, I love my synths so much. I don't know about you guys. I love them. I feel like there's so much you can do with them, and there are endless amounts. Like piano, I love piano. It could never get old. But when it comes to synths, there's so much you can do with it. And I want a lot of my music to be more of a feeling than it is just like a powerful synth that's supposed to wake you up when you're driving, because
Sure.
I feel like a lot of pop music does do that.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's bubblegum, like it's just a feel good stuff,
Exactly.
it's not deep, where I think you're taking it to, more of a deep level.
Right.
Yeah. And do you do like the drum programming? I feel like you're unique in the programming. Like I listen to the drum patterns and I'm like, that's not like, sometimes it's not, I don't want to say it's typical or whatever, but it's interesting because it's not what you would normally hear, like a straight 4/4 beat or whatever. Like you play with the different timing of when the snare hits versus the kick drum, and not your typical 4 on the floor sort of vibe. I actually dig it.
Right. Thank
Just a
you.
little bit of a deeper level on the whole
Oh, please.
production side, but yeah.
It's
So
funny because my girlfriend and my artist friend Josue, they always say I show them some of my songs, like I'll show them demos and stuff,
yeah,
and they do often say the drum pattern sounds a little basic, and those are usually the songs you guys haven't heard yet. So then I do a lot of time go in afterward and think, how do I make this different without just like acting like I just put the most random drum pattern in there? You know what I mean?
right.
But I get very intentional when it comes to my drums because I feel like they could make or break your song. You know, you're not
I
gonna have
thought it
like,
was great. The simplicity of it actually,
thank
it
you.
intrigued me. Yeah. So I think there's an angle definitely to play there because it kind of separates what you would normally hear. And then you play a lot with like stereo fields and reverbs
I do.
and yeah, it's very atmospheric or etheric in nature and yeah, so that's all I gotta say.
I
Yeah,
really
Zach
appreciate
and
you
I though,
guys
we're
saying
all
that.
about those synths, man, because like
I
you know
love
We
the,
are.
the first band the first band that we started was a band called Deep Blue back in 91 and
synth pop band.
and it was totally synth pop with the trumpet. It was like
Yep.
Cake
I love
before
that.
Cake was Cake and but it was like but the lineup we had guitars but we didn't have a bass player. It was basically two or three synthesizers and a guitar player and a trumpet and two vocalists.
That is so 90s.
Our bass player was a synth. Like we just do a bass
Wow.
and
patch
so was
for it.
our drummer usually.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
that's
good.
true.
I actually can't get enough of the synth. And you know what I find so funny, and this is kind of very telling about what you guys are saying. Like you guys started off in the early 90s. When I look at like 70s, because I think synth pop, if I'm not mistaken, started to pop off, I'd say like late 70s. And then like
Yeah, that
really
would become more
transitioned to the 80s.
mainstream. Yeah, it
Yeah.
had been
Yeah,
around for a while since the 60s, but yeah, it's where the experimental
Really,
stuff
I think
became
the synth
interesting.
pop that we think of as synth pop from the 80s bands like The Cure, Talking Heads, stuff like that. Well,
Depeche
Talking
Mode.
Heads wasn't
I was just thinking
really
Depeche
synth pop,
Mode.
A
but
Depeche Mode,
man,
Yaz, New Order. We can
Oh,
go on
New
and on and
Order.
on.
My dad
Yeah,
loves New Order.
and Joy Division before that.
yep. Joy Division,
yeah.
but that was guitars. That was not
Right.
so much the synth. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
yeah, it and they were all like late 70s when they got their pops off. You know, like when
For
they
sure.
first popped off was in the late 70s. And but yeah, and look at them now, you
I
know.
know.
They're
I'm a
considered
I
pioneers of the whole thing.
I'm sure you guys know the song. The song "Just Like Heaven" by The Cure
Yeah.
is one of my favorite songs. A lot of childhood memories attached to it. I have one specific memory of me and my mom driving on a back road and me
Huh?
listening to it. And there was a cover we used to listen to by a girl, and it would come on, and I'd be like, "This is like the girl version."
Yeah.
But the beginning of that song is my song "One Song." If you heard that, very inspired by "Just Like Heaven."
Nice.
I love how that they have that long extended synth pattern. It's so amazing.
Yeah, and it's real simple. Like it
Yeah.
really is. If you break it all down, you break the layers into separate little sections. The lines themselves are actually simple. It's what
It really is.
when you put it all together that it creates this amazing.
And you know what's
song.
crazy is that like bands like The Cure, Depeche Mode, Erasure, they're all still churning out music. They're all still very much active. For a contemporary, Olivia Rodrigo is a huge Cure fan, and she's doing collaborations with Robert Smith, man.
Oh, I love
Like-
that music so much.
And it's like,
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, all right.
That's my daughter's favorite.
Olivia
actually,
Rodrigo?
is- Yes, absolutely. That's
She's
her number
incredible.
one favorite. She loves Taylor Swift too, and she was on that bandwagon at first, but then she's since become obsessed with Olivia Rodrigo.
I've got a
But-
daughter the same age, and she's gone the K-pop route. So like now she is all about Stray
Nice.
Kids.
Oh, you go
Cat's
either way.
Eye, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
There's
like-
no in
exactly.
between.
Right. She loves all that stuff. So, but
Just good taste.
yeah. So in our inquiry form, we usually ask a few questions, like kind of the more serious stuff, like what kind of struggles, pain points we call them. And that's just to kind of like have a discussion about what's working out there and what's not working, especially for independent artists like yourself and us. And one of the things you mentioned was zooming out. What does that look like on a day-to-day for you? When you say, like, what does that mean to you when you say zooming out is something you want to focus on moving forward?
So I think, and this is honestly not just exclusive to artists, but I think just as human beings, we get really trapped in our own psyche and our own ego, and we think people care way too much about what we're doing when they really don't. You're thinking
Mm-hmm.
about yourself more than anyone else is, I promise you.
Yep.
Um, and I think zooming out is so important. Like, really look at yourself as if you were another person looking at you. It
Gotcha.
helps so much in my day to day. Even if I feel like I'm being a little lazy and I'm procrastinating, I like to actually view myself sitting on the couch from a different perspective, as if I'm looking in at myself. And it really helps you to understand, like, if a documentary were put out of just what you do on your day to day, how would it look? What would you change?
Yeah.
That's really what I view as zooming out. It really
Okay.
helps.
Yeah. It's actually very important, because I think you do when you get wrapped up into, doing your craft. And it's like when you say, my song's out now, everybody go stream it, and if you don't put yourself, you don't zoom out and you put yourself in the perspective of a stranger or whatever,
Right.
why? Why would I do that? Like, who are you? Why am I going to go out of my way to stream your song? Like, why should I,
Agreed.
those are the challenges you have to face as an artist to like either hook them or get them interested in, the old ways of doing things are just not the same anymore. And there's a
They're
different,
not.
even just over 2 or 3 years ago, it used to be a different format as far as, how to get people involved, but it's a struggle. That's definitely a pain point to
Right. Hey,
And
Charlie, what do you think is the hardest part of zooming out?
I think honestly, we just get really caught up in what we're doing. And I think especially this, I would say, is exclusive to artists, at least for the most part. When you're doing something where, look, we'll be honest, it's not always guaranteed, especially if you don't go about it the right way. I think a lot of people just struggle to take themselves, get out of their own way. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, it needs to be done like this. They're very like tight gripped and everything needs to be done a certain way. And when you just let go, not even just with the music, even when you're
In
just
life.
posting. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. When you're
Right.
posting or doing anything, letting go and truly just not taking yourself seriously, because realistically, we only have so much time here. All your worries and your fears and your doubts are not going with you, you know?
Right.
So
Yep.
I'd say the hardest thing would really just be getting out of your own way and actually taking a pause for a second to zoom out in the first place.
No, I agree. I think what happens when you do that is you become authentic. When you let go of all that stuff and you just like, you know what, I am who I am. Either people like it or they don't. They can, like, because sometimes I do reels and stuff and it seems pretty cringy. Like I'll show my daughter, she's like, "Oh, Dad, that's so bad." I don't care. That's me. I'm like, I'll be cringe then. Like I really don't care, and that's my attitude now. And it's
But
taken
let's
me.
be honest, man. It's part of the role of being a parent is making your children cringe
I
on a
don't, but
fairly
that's
regular
what I'm saying.
basis.
Like, I'm just doing it. I'm just acting naturally. So
Right.
if I'm acting naturally as cringe to her, then I guess I'm not going to hit that market, and
Right.
not that I care, but there's, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't ever planning on that, but
You're completely
yeah,
right.
no, that's
My motto is the cringier the better. Like, if you can actually free yourself to be really cringy, because look, posting on social media is cringe anyway. You know what
correct. Especially as an artist, you're like, all you want to do
course.
is write music. You don't want to like have to dance to the newest trend or
Of
whatever.
course.
Like that's ridiculous. So you feel goofy from the start.
I
God,
talk
are we
a
going to
lot
start
about
doing that,
too.
Zach?
Do you? Yeah.
I better see some TikTok dancing on your next few posts.
Oh man, I'll try.
I want to
You'll
see your
see.
daughter's reaction to that.
She'll dance all day long. But yeah, so, and then one of the other things that you had mentioned was, look, release strategy and being overwhelmed in I guess we call it the backside of things, like I don't think a lot of, and this is just me and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of musicians don't put enough effort into promoting
Not at
the
all.
music they release, and they should take it almost as seriously as writing the music and making the music itself, because it just doesn't happen. You can put yourself out there and you're available to everybody in the world, but so is everybody else. And you've got a
Exactly.
big wall of noise you got to break through.
A sentence I hear way too often is, first of all, I'm shadow banned really gets to me when people say that. People say they're shadow banned. It just feels like an excuse, and then you look at their page and like realistically the content just isn't good. And that's
Yeah.
okay. I think that it's so powerful. If you can admit to yourself that the content is not good and you can see why it's not connecting with people, congratulations, because now you got to actually fix it. You know, you
Right.
didn't have to waste 6 months just posting the same garbage, for lack of better words. You
Right.
actually get to connect with people. So when it comes to the release strategy, from what I've at least, in my own experience, the best thing you can really do is, like I said, let go, show your personality, use every unfair advantage that you can to like to push your music and your content in the right direction. And I'd say when it comes to the release strategy, one of the most important things you can do is find your audience. How old are they? What do they look like? What kind of music do they listen to otherwise if it's not yours? You know what I mean? Because at the
Yep.
end of the day, it's not just going to find you. I think a lot of people say, my music will just find me. I didn't sign up to wear this many hats and be a content creator. And then it's okay that if you want this to be a hobby and you don't want people to listen, there are 100,000 songs being uploaded on Spotify a day. And
That's what I was
especially
going to
with
say, man. It's like, it's so you get lost in the noise if you're not making an effort and constantly trying to look for different approaches and different ways of doing things. I mean, we will play with, even just for this podcast, man. I will play with, and I'll drill through and research the algorithms and analyze things to try to find the best times and days on all of the platforms that we can post to try to get
Captions
visited,
and
the
absolutely.
right
titles
captions,
and
the right hashtags, the right
yeah, yeah.
everything, and just trying to play with formulas that work. And then sometimes we'll have a video that wow, we got over I mean, it's nothing big. We haven't had anything really hit and go mega viral or whatever,
You
and
guys
I
are
don't
doing
care. That's
exactly
fine
what you're
because we're having
supposed to,
fun.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I know. So what kind of methods have you used in the past to promote your music? And what out of those different, maybe give a couple examples, like maybe give us examples of something you tried that you're like, okay, this didn't work. I can't keep doing it this way. And then maybe name something that did work where you might focus that with your new Echoes After Midnight when it's released. Like what's your plan for what's your new strategy? What have you learned from the past that didn't work in
Right.
promoting? What are you going to try in this one?
So what I tried, and it's worked for some people. That's the thing a lot of people
I
get
know.
caught up in. You know what I mean? A lot of people
Yeah.
get caught up in like, oh, but this mainstream artist did it. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Correct.
And something that I tried a lot were those basic text on the screen, like 15-second walking away from the camera while your song plays. That didn't work for me. I do a lot of A/B testing. And
Mhm.
for anyone in the audience that doesn't know what that means, it's literally just test, test, test. If you haven't found whatever format works for you, you need to try as many things as you can, like you guys said. So that didn't work for me. And what really started working for me was talking in the beginning of my content. You know what I mean? Especially for short form. People just want to have a personality behind the music.
Story. So you were telling
Yes,
storytelling.
Exactly.
Huge. Storytelling's huge for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the many reasons people connect with the Gilder Era so much. It's because they get to listen to me. It's not just me pushing my song down their throat. You know what I mean? It's
Right. They make the choice to take that
exactly.
rabbit hole or yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
They make the choice to connect with me if they want, because I'm putting my personality on the table. If you don't connect with me or you want to leave a hate comment, it wasn't meant for you. You know what I mean? So I'd say, especially to the people watching, just be you. Show your personality. You look at people like Tyler, the Creator. He has great music. I love some of his music, but he's such a big personality that when you watch him talk and just being himself authentically, which there's a lot to see there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It makes you like his music more. It makes you understand more about who you're listening to, the origin of the music you're listening to. So I'd say just talking and then showing myself beyond just the music.
Yeah, and that has so you're saying that has worked for you and that's the angle you're going to play. But that might not actually work for other people too. So I think the bottom line is play around like you said, the A/B test certain things and test different, and if you get a feel like okay, this one did better than a lot of the other ones, then lean into that a little bit more,
Right.
explore until you've, you milk that cow dry, like just
Exactly. And I'll
go with it. So
add on to that just a little bit when it comes to doing that. A lot of people are too scared to do that. There are kids from their
sure.
hometown that they feel are going to laugh at them. They feel like
Oh
their
yeah.
own family or siblings or their parents
Some
are
of them
gonna laugh.
will. That's
Yes,
just it. They're going
exactly.
to.
Exactly.
Right.
If you're
Oh yeah.
posting, I think it's sometimes healthy just to assume they are. Get yourself
Right.
past it. Don't wonder. They probably are, but who
Right.
cares? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just
Well,
keep
especially if
pressing.
you do well, like you start doing well, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, dang,
Oh, then you
like,
start getting the text that they always believed in you.
Quick intermission, folks. We've curated a Spotify playlist called The Guest List, showcasing the incredible artists who grace our show with their talent and stories. Dive deeper into their music. Plus, discover exclusive tracks by Z Frequency. Click the link in the description or search for The Guest List on Spotify. Enjoy, and back to the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of course they
You
did.
sound like you've been there before.
Recently, I've had people, there were kids that just flamed me in high school for making music. They would play my music in the hallways, and you get over it. Like, I'm not still thinking about it by any means, but I've had multiple people reach out to me, either asking me for advice, which is fine. Good for them. I'm never going to be like, oh, I told you so. Dude, good for
Right.
you. I think that's a very humbling thing to do and put yourself aside like that, knowing this person probably remembers that stuff. And then I've had people reaching out saying, it's so great you're taking the risk you are. That I don't have a backup plan. This is it. Either I die trying or
Yeah.
it works out better than we could have
Or
imagined.
or that you have a dream and you're actually trying to follow it. Like I think a
Bingo.
lot of people just don't, they wish they had a dream. Like when I say they're jealous, like they're envious because they don't have anything to like that inspires them in the way that it does for most artists, like obviously you have to be passionate about this because you have to put on all these hats. You have to be ridiculed. You have to be willing to be vulnerable and do silly dances on TikTok. Like you have to do, and you do those things because you're really passionate about it. And I
Whatever it
personally,
takes.
I have a mental struggle constantly where I have moments that I come down in my awesome studio that it's taken me a lifetime to acquire all the cool stuff in here. And I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? Like, why do I even do this? And it's cyclical and I usually snap out of it or something inspires me or my bandmates, we get some good news or whatever. And then I'm back to be inspired again. And it's mentally tough, on you as well.
Absolutely. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people are
Right.
worried that this thing they've loved their entire lives is going to become draining because they made it a job. Look, realistically, this is a business. You have to treat it like a business. A lot of people don't like that. They think it might be a bit of a capitalist mindset. I'm not talking business just to make money. I'm talking you need to have strategy. You need to know how you're going to put this in front of people. And to touch up on what you said, Zach, it's very mentally challenging. You know what I mean? It took me a long time not to respond or react to low views. You know what I mean? Tomorrow,
But yeah, no, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. Like,
it's
and
this.
I've noticed, like, you had one song that popped off. I think it was like 40,000, something like that on
When
the
you
Pushing
drove
50,
away.
pushing 50,000.
Yeah,
I'm looking
yeah.
at I've got you open on my Spotify right now, and 49,441 is the count on there, and that's and it's like
that's good.
It's like I got almost 50,000 streams of this one song, and then I've got these other songs
that don't even haven't hit
yeah.
the 1,000 mark
right.
yet.
And I think our top streamed song right now
Six?
is
Hey,
pushing
almost 7,000.
almost
Pushing
7,000.
7,000.
And then we've
That's
got
a-
like one or two other songs that have cleared 1,000, and the rest of them are all
under the carrot.
and
Yeah,
and
and it's
so,
tough, man,
and-
because
and
you
it's-
put your heart and soul into that stuff.
right every single one of them, man. But I think
How
that,
did that happen? By the way, did you do any paid marketing to bring people to that song, or did it get
No.
picked up on an algorithm playlist? Or
So it's not that I'm against doing ads, but I believe in doing it fully organically, at least for
Okay.
me. You know what I mean?
sure,
So what happened with that song is I went for a run in December. I believe it was December 9th. It was the first video I made that, because with these Gilder Era videos, I always start out by saying the date because it feels like a prophecy, and it allows people to kind of track. like, oh, wow, I haven't seen this guy since April 4th, because they remember that I said the date in the beginning of
Yeah,
the year.
no, that's actually not a bad idea to date, especially if you're telling a story. So if you're doing the story format, you share the date, then that way
Right.
they know where they're at in because a lot of times I'll see TikTok reels or Instagram reels where they bump around.
Yes.
Like I'm watching part 2 of something and I'm like, well, where the hell is part 1?
And part one is like all the way down on their feed.
Yeah, it's like buried,
It's like
and
you haven't
so,
even been consistent with it.
right.
But I posted this video on December 9th, and I thought nothing of it. It was the weirdest thing. I just went for a run, and I was feeling a little, not under the weather, but I was kind of getting in my own head. I was like, oh, let's go for a run. Went for like a 20-minute run, and I ran into my backyard, and I just flipped my phone on, and I said the date is December 9th of 2025, and I'm going to be one of the biggest artists in the world. I've never once claimed that, ever. I truly feel like it was spiritual.
Yeah.
That I felt that on my heart to say that. And I posted that. A lot of people started coming in, and then I was like, ooh, I got to make sure this song is prepared to put out in the next 2 weeks. It's opportunity at its best. I posted it. I
So-
started just getting vigorous about posting to it. It
Okay.
popped off. It got out. And then
So you
people
built anticipation prior
Yes.
to, so this video got, wouldn't say like mega viral, but it got viral. Like
Yeah.
it sparked a lot of interest, and so people were actually That's interesting. So,
and then the
yeah, that's
algorithm
good.
started pushing it because they knew
Right,
so many
because people were waiting for it.
Yeah.
And as soon as they knew that you were doing it, then they're like, oh, I got to see it now.
Right.
Sick,
Let's
man.
see what he's all about. Whether they hated it, loved it, whatever, it helped.
Right.
I love the bravado. I love the bravado
I do too, man.
of having that, because no, seriously, Charlie, like a lot of people, would when that stroke, when that spark hits their brain and said, I'm going to tell people I'm going to be the biggest artist, one of the biggest artists in the world. It's like most people have the other voice in their head that says, that's stupid, don't do that shit.
Mhm.
And they listen.
It's
I
usually
have
like
that too.
family.
And that's the thing, is that you took the step and you said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it. And you did it. And that is, that's the kind of insane courage that it takes to have those moments. It's like that the movie, We Bought a Zoo, 20 seconds of insane courage, man.
Right.
Yep.
Sometimes that is the difference maker in any decision that you make, when it's that crazy, and the stupid voice in your head that tries to hold you back is saying, no, that's dumb.
But,
And you
yeah.
ignore it and you do it anyway.
Here's the underlying of that I feel is that everyone that watched that secretly wanted to say that in their own backyard. That's
Bingo.
why it resonated, man.
Bingo.
Absolutely.
They vicariously felt that at that moment that you put that out, that they're like, yeah, that's what I want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I want to be bold enough to, even if it's just in my backyard, to yell, I am gonna be famous, Like
Right.
that's
And
that's
look,
cool.
I'm not going to pretend that voice just turned off when I started posting that. I was very nervous. All I could think about was how people were going to perceive this, and just knowing that people were going to be sending it around to each other. But you know what I started doing? I didn't listen to that voice. And
You stop caring.
Exactly. And I don't talk to it. I don't pay attention to it. What I do is I do it anyway, and I do it 10 times harder than I know some other people would. And that voice just starts getting lower and lower, because you realize you're in control. You're in control of the actions you take. I don't care if you're expecting results right away. You need to just take those actions and focus on input rather than just focusing on the end goal. You know what I mean? And whatever it takes.
It just reminded me of is again, we're going to harken back to the knees back before the turn of the century. Zach and I won tickets. I won tickets on the radio to see an acoustic performance for a nationally touring act that was coming through Salt Lake City. He's an artist called Poe.
Okay.
And she was rad. She was absolutely fantastic musician and just really cool grooves. Well, so it was the afternoon before her big show, so it was just an acoustic set, and we all got, I think Zach got a vinyl, and she signed it to him, and she wrote to Zach on it was either a poster or a record.
I think it was a
and
poster.
it said, Zach, bite off more than you can chew and chew it.
Yep, that was her advice.
That
Bite off more than you can chew and chew
that
it.
little nugget has stuck with me ever since that. We saw Fishbone play one time, and Zach walks right up to Angelo Moore and says, my name's Zach Davis. You haven't heard of me, but you will.
I did
I
say
love that.
I did. And he looked at me like, he's like,
All right.
okay, all right.
That's
You know what I
so
mean?
funny.
Like, I love Angelo, man. I love Angelo. But anyway, yeah, I couldn't believe. And after he walked away, I was like, oh, I can't believe I just.
But you know what? That's
but
but that is the kind of, if you don't, you've got to find that courage. You've got to find that backbone and believe in yourself like that. And that's what it all boils down to, is that you have to believe in your core that if this is what you truly feel like you were meant to do, then you owe it to yourself to dig deep in those moments and ignore the stupid voice that's telling you not to do it and just go for it.
yeah,
Absolutely. It gets me fired up talking like that because I spent such a long time just in my own head and almost thinking I needed to build more stories. So maybe I need to struggle a little more. And then I realized, like, this is really what snapped in me in October. It's like, if I don't go for it now and I don't decide what actions I'm taking based off what other people are expecting of me or what other people may or may not say when you don't even know,
right.
I'm going to
You're
regret that for the rest of my life.
right. You were creating an outcome that hadn't even really happened.
Right.
You know, you're predetermining, a result when you really didn't know. You really don't know, and the only way you definitely don't know is if you don't do it.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I feel like things like that are cliche for a reason.
Oh,
You know,
right.
But they are, but they're so true. You know what
they're
I mean?
so true.
Yeah, it's as simple as it is. It's powerful,
Right.
So you write music. Do you still work with Logic? Is that still your platform of choice?
Yeah, I'm like diehard Logic. I'm so loyal.
I just got Logic over a year ago. I moved from PC land to Mac, and so now I'm like all Mac ecosystem.
What were you
But
using before, DAW-wise?
I was using a PC program called Mixcraft.
Oh, I know Mixcraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Actually, but it was only if they could migrate over to Mac, it probably would have been easier on my life.
Very
because I'm still learning.
underrated
But
platform.
yeah, exactly. That's what I thought, because it's super cheap, and it was like a
Okay.
fully editable and comprehensive DAW.
Right.
And I wrote a lot of the stuff that, if you were to look at our catalog on Spotify, then the last 2 or 3 releases were all written on and produced on that DAW. But
Right
do
on.
you do anything other than, like, do you do live streaming, or do you actually play live or perform, or is it just like a bedroom producing at this point, putting music out on the streams?
So that's a great question. I just started doing more lives on Instagram and TikTok because I feel like it's such an underrated, easy tool to just connect with people, like they
Mhm.
have you right there. It's not just some video they're commenting on, you're responding to. In the next few months, I'm going to start opening up for artists and really start getting serious about live shows. I've wanted to make sure I build somewhat of a catalog before I start
Sure.
doing that. And
You got to have a set.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty prepared, and people have to show up. I think I'm ready to start doing that.
Cool. So have you had a lot of experience actually performing live, or is that kind of like that's going to be a new adventure for you?
It's gonna be a new adventure, but you know
Okay.
what? Like you just said, like you had nothing to lose walking up to Angelo. Like I have nothing to lose by doing shows. And
Right.
No, it's
myself.
I'll tell you right now, Charlie, it's a rush.
I know.
Yeah,
It is-
be warned, man. That is some addictive shit right there.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Oh
it
yeah.
is.
No.
Well,
Yeah,
and
it's-
the thing is, because there is nothing quite like, I mean, you already know the feeling of your music connecting with people.
Right.
Now, when that happens in a live setting, because inherently you are putting out this energy when you
Yeah,
play.
the
And you're putting
vibration.
it out there, and you're putting out these vibes. And when you get an audience, and it doesn't have to be a huge audience, it can
No.
be 6 people, but if they are locked in with you in that vibe, then they vibe the energy back up to you on stage, and then you're back, and it's just this cyclical thing, man. And it is amazing.
The connection that you were talking about and referring to, you can almost see it. There's an aura in the room.
Just thinking about it now, I'm so excited because
It's
I
so fun.
I love when fans just reach out to me in my DMs, and it gives me this rush of like, oh, I need to connect with them. I can't wait. I mean, look, even coming on this podcast, I was a little like, you know what? I've got this, but this is a fresh new thing.
Is this your first? Is this
It
your first
is.
time? Oh, I'm
It
sorry,
is.
man. I
Yeah.
forget
No.
to ask that question. Like, and we usually try to keep it really cool. Like a lot of times we'll get done with the interview and they're like, all right, well, I guess we're done. I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot we were even recording.
Oh, but you know what? The second I got on here, it's just I was talking to you guys. It was connected.
Right.
Yeah.
And all
And
those
you know,
things go out the window.
Right.
Well, that's the funny thing is that, we started this podcast as kind of, another just avenue of promoting our music and another way to do that. And really it was initially just going to be, us talking. Maybe we'll have guests on, but it was going to be primarily just talking about, what it's like to be an independent artist and the struggles that we encounter and the challenges, and kind of document our voyage as, having been in a working band for a long time and then taking a break. And then we had a revival of that band 20 years later and played for a couple of years. And now, Z Frequency, this band we're in now, started as strictly a studio project. And then, a little over a year ago, we decided, you know what, let's take this thing live. And so, we've been rehearsing, and we just had our first live show
We just
at
had
the
our
beginning
first
of this
gig.
month.
Well, that's awesome.
As Z
Congratulations.
Frequency.
In fact,
and it was like,
yeah, I actually just got done with the live video of it. I had several cameras and only one managed to make it through most of it. I couldn't even put the whole set. I had to drop 2 songs off the set, but
Wow. How'd it
and
go?
it's just it went great.
we were
Yeah.
we were ready. We were locked in. And the cool thing is that the musicians we put together for this band, it's like
They're
of
all
us,
experienced.
we're all
like, yeah.
experienced, but we've all like Zach has known all of us except for our trombone player is the baby of the family, but we're all 50 something dudes. And most of us have known each other since the early 90s and have played together or adjacent to each other, since we were kids. So it made sense, but we all really put in the work, and we're a 7-piece band. So, it's like I play trumpet. We've got a 2-piece horn section. We've got, guitar, bass, an auxiliary percussionist, a drummer. We do a lot of 2 and 3 part vocal harmonies.
That's so
And so it's like, but
Yeah.
we're all, have careers, and most of us have families. And so it's really hard logistically to put it all together. So we only get together to rehearse like twice a month.
wow.
And so, when it's rehearsal time, it's go time. And it really depends on everybody doing their homework at home. But we were ready when we hit the stage.
Yeah, we were. And I'll tell you this, like, I don't know if you plan on, when you do a live, you can really do it if you have do you have a keyboard or some sort of a MIDI controller that you can, so if you can incorporate an element of live playability, like whether it's your piano or doing some things, and if it's just you on the stage, you can still do it and be productive and actually make it work by using backing tracks. And
Yeah, I definitely plan on doing backing tracks, but I want to make it interesting. I don't want to just
Sure.
exactly what you're saying. Like, I want to have a keyboard up there. I don't want to just have my song playing in the background, and obviously that will be an element of it.
Well, when I say backing tracks, I don't mean like the whole thing.
No, of course.
You know what I mean? Like, you have, like, we played a backing tracks. We have 7-piece band and we still have backing tracks. And really what you might hear out in the crowd is a pad, maybe a synth or something that, that the band is not actually playing. But in our ears, we're hearing like a cowbell, clonk, clonk, clonk. It's a metronome.
That's
And then
so
you hear
cool.
me go like verse 1, ready, go, and that's what you're
Wow.
hearing.
It's rad, man. It is so cool. Like, because now it's like we're all like, we're higher tech than we've ever been in our lives.
Yeah,
Of course.
With this thing, we're playing.
It's
we're
frustrating
using
sometimes too.
We're
but-
all using any system where everybody, like, and the system has kind of a closed circuit Wi-Fi signal that you can lock onto with your iPad or your phone, and you can pull up. Every individual band member has their own personal monitor mix.
That's so cool.
So I can
Yeah.
say, I want more lead vocal, I want my vocal, I want the horns, I want bass, I want kick drum, I want, and so everybody gets to hear what, and you're not fighting for noise, you're not fighting for airspace, and so it makes it's so
Yeah,
nice, man.
We were all worried about it because that was the first time we ever did it and used it that way. I've, up to that point, I've always played in front of a wedge, but yeah,
Incredible.
there's a cool app called Stage Tracks.
Stage
It's
tracks.
really- Yes, if you want, I'll email that to you, and
Please
I'll even
do.
email you a link to the YouTube. It's not out yet; it'll come out on June 1st.
I was
But
just
if
gonna
you
ask
want, if you want to
guys
check
have
us out
footage.
live, it'll be on YouTube.
Please,
I
when
kind of had
do
this.
live show, I'll make
Yeah.
sure I reach out to you guys for some pointers.
Yeah. If you want, like, I think that would probably, I almost feel like that's kind of the next step. Like, doing some more, you said cinematic with Echoes After Midnight, you're kind of a cinematic feel. I think doing a series of like shorts, reels, if you will, in a cinematic, kind of vibe to that. I'm just visualizing, the more
Absolutely.
cinematic aspect of that, and leaning into some sort of a live performance
I
might
can see
be.
your vision already. Like, just even posting a lot of these that's one thing I'm really looking forward to, is having those live performance clips and then kind of putting some filters on it to match my world. But you know what? I love the way you guys describe it. It's like the second you guys get up there, you just feel that rush. And I think
Yeah.
that goes for anything. I'm big on having a high perception of yourself, right? Like, you need to visualize beforehand just the best possible outcome, everyone connecting with you properly and everything going as planned. Because then the second you're up there, you're good. Especially like you said, Matt, just as long as you're practicing, giving it your all and putting the reps in,
Right.
that's really all it is,
Well,
But another huge key, though, to playing live is that you are going to screw up. You are going to make mistakes. That is part of the
I was
thing,
just gonna say
is that you push through them, because I guarantee you will remember the mistakes you make much more and much longer than
They don't.
anybody that was watching your show.
Yeah.
10 seconds after, 5 seconds after you make that mistake, if you push through and you play through, then the people that are watching your show, either they didn't even notice or they've already forgotten about it. And that's the
bingo. I was just gonna
or
say,
they can appreciate that you're human.
yes,
You know what I mean? Like, they can
authenticity.
appreciate that. Yeah, it's authenticity, right? Like, you're a real human being. You're not perfect, and people that watch can support and relate to that, because they're not perfect either.
Right.
So, but if you don't care, they don't care. The only time
So
it
funny.
matters is when you care about it. Like, the last thing you want to do is like, I'm so sorry I screwed that up. Like, they don't know. They don't care.
They actually,
they
like
just,
you said, Matt, they don't even notice a lot of the time.
yeah,
correct.
absolutely.
Especially
They
if
don't
you
even
play
know.
it off like you meant to do it.
Yes.
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So, yeah. So anyway, well, cool. I can't wait to see you do some live stuff, man. Like, I'm gonna have to keep
Absolutely.
tabs on you. Like, even if you start with the reels and just kind of like do a little bit of a playing, like maybe you play 10 seconds or 5 seconds of a song like this Echoes After Midnight on a piano,
Yeah.
and then have it just kind of blast into the song.
Well, I
and
have a
then you
lot
could just,
coming. Yeah.
yeah,
I can't wait
yeah.
for you to see it.
Yeah, okay. And where can people find you, man? Like, where does Charlie Gilder hang out? Like, what's the main hub?
So, like, on social media.
Yeah.
platforms,
Like,
or-
where's people gonna get the best tea?
I'd say, so if they want to listen to my music, it's just Charlie Gilder on all platforms. Charlie, Gilder. I always like to say that on the phone with people.
What's your handle? This is just Charlie Gilder.
It's Gilder Music on
Okay.
every social media platform.
Okay, I'll
I'd
make
say-
sure, and I'm gonna put that up in the. You'll see it on the screen when you watch the video. But
Perfect.
yeah.
I'd
We
say
always do that.
Instagram.
Look, there it is. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like I can reach out and touch it.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll add it in post.
Right, exactly.
They don't have to know that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So just Gilder Music on all
Okay.
social media, and Charlie Gilder on.
Charlie Gilder. Do you have a
All
website?
I do. It's Gilder Productions. I'll email it to you guys so you can put it on there too.
Okay, I think I might have it. I just usually ask if you want to say it out loud, and then I kind of splash the screen with that. But
Right.
I believe I have it in the information here.
I believe I put it in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Any-
forgetting
it-
off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to give any shout outs to anyone before we kind of wrap up the main part of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the main one is my girlfriend. She's just so unbelievably supportive, especially when
Props.
she's the best. Her name's Amanda. She
Cool.
is so supportive, even in the moments she doesn't have to be. I think a lot of people, especially when they're in a relationship and they see someone going down a path that isn't guaranteed, it takes a lot of trust.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Especially if they're like, do you have a job? Do you have a car?
Of course, she's
Yeah.
the most
yeah.
special person ever, and she's just
Hey.
she makes me better. And I think, look, it can make or break you. If you have someone, especially like you guys will understand this, if you have something where you have to be focusing on this thing all day, you can't sleep, if you're not getting it done, you better have someone who's there who's talking you through it.
Yeah, that and can support that your first love is not her. Your first love was music, you know, and if they can support you on that, you know, and there's a saying that I love to say is that behind every great man is an even greater woman.
Of course. Oh, she's the best. She's the best.
Right on. All right. Well,
What does that say about me, man?
You're the best too, Matt. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I got R2D2, baby. I got my droids.
Exactly. Star Wars. So, yeah. All right. You've got Echoes After Midnight. You're projecting sometime in July. It's going to come out.
Yes, sir.
And then keep on the lookout for some more live, kind of going down the live avenue. I think we kind of put the bug in you. I think you planted a seed.
You did. You
got to play the live thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll love it. I promise. It's nerve wracking as all can be. Like, you know what? Even if you did open mic, started with that.
Just for some
open
practice?
Mics are great. Yeah. Well, it's still performance, right? And
right.
Everyone up there is kind of just getting legs. You know, a lot of times people, even really good musicians that are working on stuff, they'll actually like A/B test it on an open mic. To see if it's worth pursuing. Yeah. So check into that. And I bet New York's probably big into the whole open mic thing. So
I'd say maybe with LA competing, it might be one of the best places for that scene.
But yeah, no, lots of great music come out of New York.
And the thing is that, you know, the more you get out and play live, the more you're able to dial in your vibe and you know, it's just like the more you write, the more you find your voice.
Right.
The more you play out live, the more you figure out your stage persona and who you are on stage and how you connect with people and what works and what doesn't. And I'm never going to do that again.
I can't wait to throw myself into it. Just learn.
And then
90s, having a drinking too many beers before we got on stage was absolutely like, we would get dialed in. We had one reviewer say that it's the first band I've ever seen that the drunker they got, the tighter they played. That doesn't work anymore.
That's not me though. That was not me. Because I turned 21. I have to just share this story real quick with you, Charlie.
Please.
So I barely turned 21 and we were playing a gig, so I could finally get into the bar legally, you know, and I was like, we got there way too early and I was all excited I could have a beer. So I had a beer and then
we had a band tab. We don't have to pay for these beers.
Yeah. And I'm having a great time. And the band shows up, we start setting up, we get going and we're playing the first song and I'm grooving. And I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. I'm buzzed, right? You know, I've had a few beers. I'm like, this is so cool. And I kind of slowly glanced over and Matt was looking at me like, dude, what the fuck? And he started singing into them like, oh shit, that was my line, you know? Like, and after that, I just totally spaced it. Like, oh yeah, I'm in a band. I got to perform.
Yeah,
like,
let everybody else do the drinking, Zach.
Yeah, so I don't drink anymore. But yeah,
honestly,
anyway.
I'm not a big drinker. Like I really don't drink or smoke or any of that stuff. Right. But I think I might down like a Celsius or something beforehand, just get myself amped up.
Yeah, sometimes like a lot of guys will just do one beer, you know, or like a mixed drink just to kind of shave a little bit of nerves off. Yeah. So, but no, that's cool.
Glad you learned early.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Well, Charlie, thanks for joining us on the show, man. That was been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we're looking forward to it. And well, I guess we'll have to have you back soon after all of this.
Yes, sir.
After your new release, and let us know how your new promotion and new adventures are going.
I would love that. We'll do a big update.
Yeah, and you know, keep us posted as you get out and play those live gigs, because I wanna hear, you know, your feelings on it, and especially that first time out, really, you know, hitting it live, man. I'd love to hear your reaction, man.
Record everything too.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yes, I'm gonna make sure.
Even if you don't use it, you have it. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. You know, even like, you know, you listen to your old audio recordings and you realize how much you changed. It's so good to just watch yourself.
Right.
You can kind of zoom out and see.
Yeah,
yourself.
zoom out. And you know what? The hook is playing a little bit of that early demo stuff and then showing the final product. Like if you like, especially doing live, like if you
For sure.
if you have a demo of like one of your songs you're performing live and it's like really rough and demo-y, and you have it like black and white, you know,
Well, that's
and
really
maybe
smart.
a picture, yeah, and then all of a sudden it goes right into your performance, and you've got a recording of you playing that live like that. That's gonna
For sure. And it proves to people.
I need to write this stuff down, man. Like I
Please
got all the
do.
great ideas. I got all the great ideas for everyone else, but I can never
have
apply
that
it to
happen all the
myself.
time.
You know?
I have that happen all the time. Like you say something to somebody, you're like, I'm gonna write that down real quick in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah. So real quick, what's one piece of advice you'd give somebody who's just starting out, like considering this, and what would you tell to that young person out there, or maybe an old person inspiring to get started?
I'd say to trust the process. Like really trust the process. You know what I mean? You know, I listen to my older demos and they're horrible. They're so bad.
They're gonna be horrible. at
Yes.
first.
And if you
Count on it.
Yeah, please. And
Yeah.
it's so exciting. You know, just trust that it's gonna get better. You're gonna get better and you're gonna progress. Like anything else, just do it and you'll gradually see how much better you get. You'll see what chords go well together. You know, what key you sound best in vocally. It's such a fun process, you know? And just have fun with it. Don't take it so seriously, you know?
Right on. Yeah.
For sure.
Good advice, man. Good advice.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, cool, Charlie. It was a pleasure talking with you, and
Thank you
we'll
so
definitely
much for
have you
having
back,
me,
man.
guys.
Thanks,
Yep.
man.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you, brother.
Peace.
Take care, guys.
Charlie, thanks for sharing the heart behind the Gilder Era.
And if you want more powerful artist stories, go watch our last interview with Michael Isaac and how he created a new genre called arabesque folk.
Stream Echoes After Midnight and follow Charlie everywhere.
And keep rocking with the ZHZ Podcast, independent music, artist interviews, and the Utah scene.
Until then, stay safe.
We'll catch you on the flip side.